Thank you very much. My name is Mark Otabo, and you are watching The Big Valentine's Day is a frivolous day of celebration of love and romance. The event is primarily between romantic partners, but has evolved to include children, relatives, friends, or anyone we may have feelings of love or deep friendship. Now, as traditional as this highly celebrated day has become, it has also attracted critical examination for some. It is practically an unnecessary day of expenditures and more of an obligation to fulfill to a partner than a true show of love and affection. Now, for others, the event day is symbolic and should be relived to the fullest, as it can be great fun and enhances one's romantic life. Now, Nneka Isaac Moses is a Nigerian actress, presenter, fashion designer, and the director of the African cultural show Go Gay Africa. She is here to say love is a beautiful thing, and Valentine's Day is that day everyone should look forward to. Come on, put your hands together for her. Come on, you can do better than that, come on. Fantastic. All right, on the other hand, Bemileke Oscar Oyinsan, popularly known as Oscar in the City, is a Nigerian radio and TV media personality, founder of Nigeria's first online school for MCs, the MC Company. He might be the popular quizmaster on TV, but he is here to show that some things don't add up about the celebration of the Day of Love. Come on, put your hands together for him. One more time for him. Fantastic. All right, fantastic. Right about now, we have to kickstart the show, and you already understand, the modus operandi. Now, what is your stand concerning Valentine? Because I know you are in support of the fact that love should be celebrated. How do you start?
I start by saying that love is a beautiful thing. Without love, there will be no life. So for all the good reasons, I believe in love, and I think love should be celebrated, not just on Valentine's Day, but every single second of our lives.
Come on. Well, Oscar, of course, the subject matter is about Valentine's Day, and you are of the opinion that it is too overblown, it's too overhyped, and you don't think that some things are necessary when it comes to the celebration. What's your stand on it, quickly?
Well, first of all, thank you, Mike and Nneka. I think a day set aside for love is not necessary. I think it's been commercialized, and I think also the question has to be asked as to why. A lot of us don't ask why. And if you look at the history of Valentine, it's actually a very dark history, a very ritual history in terms of how it started in the Roman Empire, and it was a festival called the Lupercalia, and that festival was what was used to encourage women to get pregnant. So if you wanted to get pregnant, a goat and a dog would be killed, and then the hide, that's the skin, will be used to beat the woman physically in a way that they believed it will cause fertility.
All right.
That evolved into some other traditions over the time. There hasn't been a specific origin as to where it started from, but about $20 billion is what globally is spent on Valentine's Day. And I think because of our current situation, not just in the country, but in the world, the priority has been misplaced. So I'm of the belief that it shouldn't really exist. It shouldn't be a day.
Okay.
It should be something that should happen in little amounts throughout the year.
All right, come on, big hand.
We celebrate
Father's
Day.
Yeah.
I heard that.
Fantastic.
We celebrate Father's Day, Mother's Day, Christmas Day, New Year's Day. There's so many days that are celebrated in life. We're talking about how much people celebrate on how much people spend on Lovers' Day. Do you know how much that is spent on war? Ask America how much they spend on that. I'd rather spend money on love than on war and so many other things that people spend money on. you just recalled the history of how you believe Valentine started. I can even push it forward to how Saint Valentine was treated. But the good thing is, something can come from somewhere very dark. And I celebrate the fact that in our time, it's no longer dark. We've moved it to the level where we share, we give.
In as much as I understand where you're coming from, the commercial angle and the reason for the season, I believe, has been lost. And the reason is very simple. You mentioned the spend on war. There's always something to be spent on. I'll look at it more of what can be saved. Now, because we're living in a very materialistic world, yourself, myself, and maybe a few of the people watching might reason with it logically, but some people feel under enormous pressure on that day to commit, to live up to a certain expectation. There's even an acronym, SAD, single and desiring, that is used for people who don't have a significant other. And when you have a day set aside for that, what happens is there's a build-up before the day, and there's an expectation even after. Now, you agree with my audience and a lot of people watching that as an individual, as a guy man, once it is February 10, is a joke, but you find a way to fight with your partner. You will find a way to break up. You will find a way to all these things. Now, it's funny. It's funny, but what has happened, and you will agree with me also on the issue of mental health, is that people have now psychologically been tuned and programmed to have expectations on that day. I was just watching a meme or a video recently where a woman buys a gift for a significant other. And because of that, the guy says, baby, but you know I'm not really into gifts. And in return, when it was time to now get down, the babe now said, baby, you know I'm not really into that too. So there's this silent war, if I can borrow Neka's words, of expectations versus spending versus the true essence of why that day was actually. You mentioned Valentine. 2 people were killed on that day, based on the analogy I gave about the Gothic nature. The Roman killed 2 people on that day named Valentine. When the church now came in, due to the sacrifice of those people, they became martyrs and they named it St. Valentine, and that's how it started. When you now move into the industrial age, Shakespeare wrote a lot of love-centric and emotional stories, which further garnished that very dark beginning. And then you now had Hallmark cards. Before, they used to write love letters with their hand, but Hallmark came, and the industrial age, they started printing cards. So there was the expectation that if you love me, show your love by sending me a card. And that now evolved. Value. So the commerciality came in. Now, the reason I am very against it is that when we were young, it was, I don't know how many people have written, who has written a love letter recently? Not email and WhatsApp, but it was an illusion that was given to us when we were younger. But the older you grow, the more you realize that you don't need a day set aside for love. It should be every single day in different ways. The love you show to a married woman, the love you show to your girlfriend, the love you show to your mother should not be a function of a day set aside.
And there I agree with you. And that's how, remember, that's how I started. I said I believe in love. If I have my way, it should be celebrated every second of our lives. Now, as I just noticed you did quite a lot of research for this. And I understand why you had to do that. You know you're a Nigerian man.
Last time I checked, yes.
Our men carry this chip on their shoulder that as a correct Nigerian man, you have to spend on your woman. And when you guys have put that on yourselves, what you're struggling for now is to see how you can get out of that. Because you believe that this Valentine coming now is another time for me to spend money. I hear you, spend, commercial value. It's not really all about putting your hands in your pocket.
But will you turn down a gift from your husband?
Coming.
Will you turn down a gift from your husband?
My husband gives me gift every day. It doesn't have to be a Valentine.
But your husband is not every man.
To that. Come on. Gives this every day.
What I'm here, I know I'm older than you, and older than you even in marriage.
Yes.
So perhaps also older than you in love. What I've come to tell you here is love is not exchangeable, or you can't equate love and money. So you're standing trying to talk about the commercial value, you're against that. Don't worry, hold your money, put it in your pocket. But there are so many ways to show love. There are people in the hospital. If you and your wife choose to go pay them a visit, even without giving them money, pray for them. That is love you're showing.
Come on.
And you know, when we talk about peer pressure does not end at school. Even now, at my age and the age of those older than me, you don't have to do because others are doing. If the millionaires are giving their girlfriends private jets on Val's Day, buy a range for your wife. Those people that have printed their Hallmark card, bouquets of flowers, perfumes, all of that, work according to your pocket now. You don't have to buy it if you don't want to. And if your woman loves you, I'm talking to you there, if your woman loves you, it's not the amount of gift that determines the level of love. Pray for your wife, for your girlfriend. Give them what you have. Like for my husband, I'm lucky he lets me peep into his bank account. In fact, most times we keep the same account. So my love for him is not based on how much we have made out of Goge Africa. So those people that are packaging stuff for us to come and buy for Valentine, for people like me and people like you who will be converted now, you don't let them dictate how you show your love for the one you love.
Now, but on a serious note, I understand what you're saying. Unfortunately, because you have been so long in marriage, I think it's 23 years plus, if I'm correct, I celebrate you, and you're a role model. But we live in a time and an age where I think the youngness of who I am and my marriage has revealed and exposed a lie in the younger generation where they don't go by what they know, they go by what they see. Yeah. So what has happened is that Valentine's Day is more or less a countdown to how a woman measures the love a man has. Women here, please, if I buy you, only the women should answer. If I buy you orange for Valentine, what will you do? Will we still be going out? No. Women, not man, no, women. Oh, yeah, talk. So this is the reality. You
can't take orange. You know vitamin C.
So the reason is, if I had my way, I would scrap the day Valentine. Because, like you rightly said, times have changed. There was a time of the Romans. There was a time of the industrial age. Yeah. Where in the fourth revolution, social media plays a very important role in how people perceive and express themselves. Yeah. It is easy to say that you love somebody, but I believe in showing the love. And showing the love should not accumulate in a day. It's just like saying celebrating one's birthday. I believe, for example, that every day should be a birthday. We remember the incident of the basketballer, even though it was untimely. Here's a man who died, unfortunately, with his daughter. Yeah. And if you notice, a lot of people celebrated Kobe Bryant, not because of the money he had, but how he showed his love. Yeah. It's the same principle. I don't think a day should be set aside to celebrate a religion and possibly a pagan belief that is not part of our culture, is not part of our system, is not part of our heritage. And more importantly, people tend to spend on that day to fulfill a promise they do not understand fully about.
Before I come to you. Now, Oscar, very quickly, I remember vividly in the Philippines as we speak right now, on February 14th is a general day where they have a number of weddings. Yeah. As a matter of fact, if you check stats, the most celebrated wedding anniversary in the Philippines is on February 14th. They have set aside that day for group weddings to happen because they feel that day symbolizes something very special. Now, you are playing down the significance of that single day. But back in the Philippines right now, they take it so important. Right now, they're preparing for it. Friends, relatives, they're gathering together to say, look, let's hold our wedding on February 14th.
Do you also know that globally there's an increased, not just in Nigeria, but globally, there's an increased rate of divorce? It's not about the day of celebration. It's about the days of the marriage. You cannot, in as much as they set aside a day, and that is also buttressing my point, a day should not be set aside for that. The reason a lot of people are not committed anymore, the reason a lot of marriages are on the decline is because people do not understand the fundamental of what it is to show love. I think, and I read somewhere, that it is better to crawl in the right direction than run in the wrong one. I think February 14th should be scrapped. A lot of us grew up studying ABCDFG. A lot of us grew up with JAM, with NECO, with multiple choice questions. And you find out that now it's not relevant because a lot of us who graduate don't use the degrees and it's not effective. So what is happening now is that the educational system globally in the abroad are teaching children on how to solve problems because they realize that emphasis on qualifications and degree doesn't matter anymore. Exactly. The same principle in love. Fantastic. The same principle in love, okay. Yes.
Allow me to just come in there.
Go ahead.
Your concern is so much on February 14th. Believe me, February 14th is not the reason why marriages fail. And believe me, it's not also the reason why people spend so much. If you're scrapping February 14th, are you going to scrap Halloween?
It's not ours.
It's not ours. Even the February 14th didn't originate from Nigeria. I know you say for a woman that represents culture, African culture, why am I supporting February 14th? The thing with culture is dynamic. You take what is good and jettison what is bad. If I say because I'm supporting or stand for African culture, then I should stand for the killing of twins and bring it back. The point is, we should address what needs to be addressed. Like you said, social media. February 14th, a lot of us are going to wear red, borrow gifts from shops, or go to shops and take pictures and pretend that our boyfriends bought them for us. What we should address is try to educate our youths that these things are make-believe. You see, I stand for February 14th. I stand for any day and every day that people wake up and love one another and celebrate love. As I stand here, maybe you guys haven't noticed. Look at my finger. There's no ring. I lost my ring last year. In fact, I actually lost his ring last year.
Ha!
Let me tell you what it is. When we got married 3 years ago, I was quite slim, tiny. So the ring I was wearing then, after 10 years, wouldn't enter this finger. I took his own and started wearing. It didn't bother me that he doesn't wear rings when he goes out. Because in Nigeria or world over, without a ring, you're single. But I tell you, love goes beyond rings.
Come on.
And so also marriage goes beyond rings. We lost this ring last year, and I was going to say on social media, but listen, it's in the heart. It's not about how much you spend on me. Let me tell you, if I were single and I have 2 boyfriends, and on Valentine's Day, this one buys me this, the other one can't afford to buy me what the other is buying me, I'll be silly to believe that the one that gives me more gifts loves me more.
Come on now. Well, of course, hold it now. This show is getting hotter, and our celebrity guests are not backing down on their conviction, but we do have to go on a break. And when we return, the debate continues. It is still the big issue. Fantastic. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is still the big issue. Should Valentine's Day celebration be discouraged or not? Now, the debate is still on, and Oscar and Nneka is still here to lend their their voices on what we're talking about. And it's been quite intense because both have been really trying to establish the reasons why the Valentine's Day should stay or not. Now, Nneka, you made a point before we went on that break, but Oscar was very quick in trying to intersect before we went on that break. So, Oscar, I think you have a bit of some argument you want to settle quickly.
The issue of marriage, love, dating, all of these cumulate to one thing, which is the individual and how the individual perceives these things. Showing love, again, I'm still emphatic about it, should not be set aside for one day. I think Valentine should be scrapped.
Okay.
Because of our present time. Now, you can show love to someone by caring for them.
Yeah.
She mentioned that if she had 2 boyfriends and one person spent more than the other, it doesn't mean she will love the person who spent more.
It doesn't mean the person that spent more loves me more.
But the truth is that an expression of love is action. If tomorrow I have $1 million, I have been married 7 years with my wife. I have 2 young girls. And since the inception of being a father and a husband, the definition of love has evolved for me over the years. And unfortunately, it hasn't evolved for a number of people who are stuck in the mindset that February 14 is about showing love. Now, I have been able to understand that the things that matter to different people differ. Yeah. My emphasis is on the fact that we should encourage people to show every day should be Valentine's Day, not one day. And the reason is very simple. The responsibility that comes with loving someone starts with loving yourself. And you cannot love yourself in just one day of the year. Yeah. You love yourself throughout the years. Throughout the days in the year.
All right. Yeah.
Now, so if I was one of the boyfriends and Nneka was single now, Ogamozi, sorry, and I'm going after her, depending on my level of understanding, my level of exposure, my level of finance is also very important because they say there's no romance without finance. Without finance, yes, money. I will approach her in a different manner. Now, everybody needs to, from the grassroots, and that's where my emphasis is, understand that a day for Valentine, for a saint we don't really know much about, who was killed in that time, should not be used as a yardstick in this present day.
All right, thank you very much. I'll come to you, people. I'll come to you.
You keep bringing back, this started as this, because it started at that. Let's scrap this. If we start going back as to how certain practices started, a lot of people will not be Christians.
Agreed.
Come on.
Without delving so much into the dark part of Christianity or even Islam, learn to live in the now. Let us correct what is actually wrong. I heard you clearly when you started this argument. Your problem is not about love. You believe in love, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Good. So I don't think you have a problem if love is celebrated every day and we even bring another day to celebrate it even further. Your problem is the commercialization of February 14th.
That's part of my problem.
What
the
else
commercialization of February 14 is a marketing tool that preys on the ignorance of people who do not understand the foundation of love.
Of marketers and marketing companies and brands and products play on our general ignorance. That is the way the world goes.
No, I disagree. We should have one less day. We should have one less day to worry about. That's why February 14 should be scrapped.
If I'm going to have one less day to worry about, I wouldn't scrap love. There's so many other things we can scrap.
Is there a World War Day?
You tell me. So, of all our audience, my audience, of all the problem we have in Lagos, in Nigeria, in Africa, in the world. What we should worry about now is how to stop celebrating love?
No. Answer now.
No. But audience,
exactly.
My question is, what else could be done productively on that same day?
I tell you what else
if globally we're looking at about $20 billion that is spent, let's even say 5% of that is spent in Lagos, Nigeria. The amount of them, to you too. The amount of things that could be achieved on that day, which is why I agree with you in the initial argument you said, express love. It could be sending some kids to school. It could be refurbishing some. It could be a number of things. But when you tie down a day, what is happening is that a lot of people, whether they know, whether they care, whether they love, whether they don't love, they will take advantage of that day. And I'm saying that you should have one less day to worry about.
All right. He said one less day to worry about.
No. One less day to nurture and even see if he can go into more days. I tell you something.
One less day to nurture to see if he can go into more days. Yes. You guys aren't clapping. Come on.
The more days you set aside to show love, it doesn't stop you from work. Ask me what I'm doing on Valentine's Day. I'll be in the studio. I'll remember it's Valentine's Day. In the evening, we'll probably pay a visit to the hospital. Now, if my husband buys me anything or not, that doesn't tell me he doesn't love me anymore. What we should change is our mindset.
Agreed. And if you're going to change your mindset, it doesn't happen in an abstract form.
And
there has to be a physical manifestation of that change. So remove Valentine's Day.
No, it doesn't start. Okay, girls, let me ask you. So once Valentine's Day is removed, that means your boyfriends will stop spending money on you? They will stop spending and your husband will stop buying?
Because they're not spending yet.
It doesn't matter if February 14th is there or not. People that spend will spend. You're bothered that the billions are not going in your pocket. If your business were tied around that, you would enjoy it. But that's not my problem. My problem is if we are able to live within our means, there is no how you buy what you can't afford. So by all means, if on February 14th, you feel like celebrating it by sharing gifts, do so.
All right, you made that point very clear. Now, right now as we speak,
yes.
I saw a lady's tweet earlier saying that someone should help her find a Valentine. Obviously, young girls have decided to see that day as a day to do anything regarding romance, sex, whatsoever. They have defined it upside down.
I hear you clearly.
Yes. Now, you are of the opinion that it should stay. But we understand that the younger generations right now do not even understand the significance enough to know that that is a day you need to actually, go beyond, the physical aspect of it.
Then the problem is they are not the problem. We are the problem. Then we should change their mindset and make them understand. We, the generation before those young people we're talking about, we should be able to help them understand what this is about. We can't say because they don't understand it, then we scrap it. You scrap it, they fix another day for themselves.
But the truth...
There's a billionaire. I should have done that research before coming, but it was not long ago, a few months back, a billionaire donated money to establish a faculty of kindness in a university in America. These are the things we love to see. Anything that means, you can't love if you don't have love in you. You can't show or give what you don't have. If people are going about establishing more reason to love, giving love, letting love lead in their life, we'll have less war. When you people talk about love, I hope you guys are not thinking of sex. Because sex is not love.
That is where I need to come in. If you ask the audience, and if the audience is very honest, this is the generation we're talking about. Audience, when you think of Valentine's Day, what mostly comes to mind? Sex. A person even said,
so
not
you
just
see,
sex. So
now the job you have to do is not coming here to say, remove February 14th. It is changing the minds of the youth.
But why can't we have both? Why can't we change the mind of the youth and remove February 14th?
Once you change their mind, February 14th becomes something totally different from what they think it is.
I'm not against love, but I'm against the fact that a day is set aside for love when every day should be Valentine's Day.
Come on, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. All right.
I'm a Christian. I read the Bible. I asked my mom, Old Testament, tit for tat. You slap me, bah, I give you bah, bah, right? My mom said to me, that's why they brought the New Testament. You know what the New Testament stands for? It's love. Slap you here, you turn here. What we need to do is not spending time, money, and our saliva trying to stop a day that promotes goodness, a day that promotes something good in humanity. If you scrap February 14th, my dear, what do you want to replace it with?
February 15th.
Please.
Come on, put your hands together.
Please.
I have a question for you, quickly.
Yeah.
Now, you have said it. February 14th celebrates love, promotes humanity, what have you. But you find out that in some cases, some men feel a bit less of themselves when they are not able to reach out to their loved ones on that day. Because the mindset of some ladies is, this is Valentine's Day, and other ladies are getting beautiful things. They're having wonderful packages. Why is my own different? The man is striving to go the extra mile to show her, look, it's a day I understand is set aside for celebration of love. Why can't I do the same? But the moment he's stuck, probably he's broke, and he can't do it, he feels, look, I'm not capable. And that self-esteem, sets in. And the lady begins to look at him like, you don't really love me enough, because if you do, you will go the extra mile. Just the way he said it. Love is an action word. And the moment you're not showing that action, to some ladies, you are not performing. This is Nigeria.
Thank you so much, because you've just brought in a big pot, the problem most marriages have. The reason marriages fail. The reason a lot of girls and boys are afraid to get into marriage. What is it? It is this expectation. Looking to your right, this is happening here, why is it not me? Why should everything that happens, why should it be you? Carve your own path. Be content. Don't drive your guy to become a 419er just to please you. We're too materialistic. Why would you say love is an action word? It has to be followed by action. The action can just be grab you and hug you. Why must it be money?
But the hugging, listen,
before you even go to that issue, I tell you something. Me, I was once a teenager, a young girl, with all these ideas. And Isaac toasted me. Let me use that language. He did. But let me tell you what he did on the first day. He took me out. I told my friends, I'm going out. He's taking me out. He took me to Amalashita. I got there, I'm like, he's like, oh yeah. He took a plate, he said, pick one. I said, what? He said, pick a plate. I picked it, and I'm like, in my heart, you see, after this time out. I lined up with him. They gave us amala. I ate it. That was my first time of eating amala, and I loved it.
Wow.
Now, is this same guy that took me to amala, some months down the line, was already proposing to marry me. There were guys that have taken me to Eco Hotel to have buffet. Okay? Now, those guys have spent more money on me. If I had married any of them, I would not be as happy as I am today.
Come on.
Wait, I want to jump in. There seems to be
So when you keep talking
a misconception. There seems to be a misconception. No, there's a misconception.
This is money.
No, not the money part. Let's even leave the money part. The misconception is that
women love their men.
No,
Nigerian women love their men.
The
We have to
misconception.
go on this break, ladies and gentlemen.
No, you can't go on a break.
The audience will be waiting. This is still the big. Welcome back once again. If you're just joining us, this is still the big issue. Valentine's Day. Should it stay or should it be scrapped? Nneka and Oscar have been very swift with understanding the reality revolving around it. And trust me, it is indeed a big issue right here. And we are trying to find out how we can establish the reality concerning Valentine. But just before we proceed, I must tell you for real that accidentally, Isaac Moses walked into the show. And of course, come on, it's a big deal. Good to have you. Good to have you, Isaac.
Nice to be on the show.
Fantastic job, man.
All right.
So comfortable.
Hi, guys.
All right.
Yes,
Yeah.
Come on, put your hands together once again.
Thank you.
It's about to get lit right now, and trust me, the audience are ready to ask their questions. And in the process, of course, Isaac Moses would definitely be lending his voice because this has to do with a topic where his significant other is also standing on the podium right there. So we cannot separate ourselves from it. Now, quickly, your question and who you're directing your question to, first of all.
My name is Daniel Ekpenyam. I'm directing my question to Mrs. Nneka.
All right, good.
Okay, Ma, I agree with you that love needs to be celebrated, but choosing this Valentine Day to make it in a big way is really causing damage rather than good. Okay. Like most of us are of less privilege. When it comes to this time, we always think of what to do for our girlfriend, and we think we may lose them to all these 30 billion guys, that they will leave us. But though we love them, but we can't.
Okay. Yes, you can answer that.
My dear, I feel your pain. I totally understand what you're saying. And it is actually because of people like you that I stand for Valentine to remain, so that it will help you know who is who. If a girl is trying to put you under pressure, trying to make you spend more than you can afford because of a single day, then she's not your girl. Oh.
First of all, the issue of less privileged could be akin to being poor. And I want to stress that poor is a disease. You are broke, but you are not poor. And the reason I started with that is because I understand the pressure in this new generation, the 30 billion gang versus your gang. But that is also a double-edged sword where it's an opportunity for you to rise up to the occasion. And that's why I believe that the pressure you're feeling is directly proportional to the state of mental health of most men in our generation. If you notice, you find a lot of men wanting to commit suicide than women because of the overbearing pressure of not just Valentine's Day, but all similar responsibilities and expectations which they are not prepared for. But to buttress what Nneka said, if she doesn't take your orange or doesn't take your amala the way you are, then she doesn't deserve you.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. All right, before you ask your question, let's get to hear from Isaac Moses. Now, I know you have been monitoring and following the whole conversation for a while now.
Yeah.
I don't know where you stand, but it will be very interesting for the viewers at home to actually know where you do stand in all of this.
You're right. Well, Oscar, you know where I stand.
Yes, I do.
I stand with her. Well, be that as it may, yes, the Valentine issue has become a global issue. And I'd like to disagree with both of you on one count. It's not only the men, it's not, the burden is not just on the man. Yeah. So now a lot of millions of dollars are tied around Valentine. So I don't think that it would ever be scrapped. However, like I said, I stand with her. Love should be on a daily basis. If there's anything that is in very short supply in the world, it's love. Because the absence of love has, bred insurgency, hatred, all kinds of terrorism. Yeah. So if love was in adequate supply, I'm not sure that any group of people, whatever their belief would be willing to throw a bomb and kill other people.
Come on.
So, and then I like the job opportunity Valentine has created around the world. So if anything should be scrapped, it shouldn't be Valentine.
Sorry,
Oscar.
I want to note that my wife is not here. So this is an ambush.
Support me.
But
The both of them are one.
you don't have a choice but to support.
I have a choice.
But I agree with you on some counts.
All right.
And I disagree on the major count that, again, I don't think a day should be set aside for love. And the reason is it builds a certain level of expectation, a certain level of pressure. And the negative outcome of it, I believe, outweighs the positive. Yes, jobs have been created, but at what expense? You have people who you have people who have been demoralized, people who don't look forward to Valentine's Day because they don't have a significant other, who are second, third wives to married men, who are girlfriends who know that if they get a gift from the guy, it's a contractual agreement because body for, back for.
All right, let's have your question now quickly. Your name and who you're directing.
All right, my name is Tessie Azan, CEO Clothes Matters.
All right.
This love thing is really the big issue now. And going by the way you both have done justice to this topic, I would have been compelled to sit on the fence. But I have numerous questions I will just ask, go get straight up.
All right.
And one of it is, fine, no day should be set aside for love. Every day should be for love.
Yeah.
Agreed. But I also agree that a day could be set aside for love because we celebrate every other thing. We celebrate marriage every day, but still we have days of anniversaries. We celebrate businesses. We celebrate a whole lot of things. And so we could have a day for love, fine. Maybe a love day where we know that we need to visit the sick, we need to go pay homage to orphanages and do all sorts. Until then, you need to convince me Val shouldn't be scrapped.
If you're talking about the history where this Valentine's Day is coming from, do we now scrap Sunday? Because do you know the history of the sun god from way back before it became Sunday? And now, does it mean that Christians are not Christians only on Sunday when they go to church that they are Christians? The point is humanity needs to be reminded. That's why we as humans always set a day aside. Your mother is your mother 365 days in a year. Yeah. But there's a day you call Mother's Day.
Yeah. 2 days, actually.
Thank you. You know, I'm advocating for a second day for love, right? So if we dedicate 2 days for our mothers, there's Father's Day, there's this day. Why is it that which is what we actually need in the world, the one day that has been set aside for it, either from a dark history or a white history. But the point is where we are in our development in life today, we have set aside that February 14th to celebrate humanity. You call it love. Some think it's sex. It's actually a celebration of humanity. So like you said, instead of hustling to delete February 14th from world calendar, let us hustle for a mind reset, a reorientation of what that should mean. Because if I begin to take you back to history, even our culture, there are things that should be scrapped and had been kept back. And as we evolve, we move forward for the better. And I don't think moving forward for the better means scrapping love.
Come on, come on, come on, come on. Come on.
Again, my emphasis is not on scrapping love. My emphasis is on scrapping the day. And the reason is, like Ineka rightly mentioned earlier on, she said there was a time when if you gave birth to twins, you'll be considered unfortunate. I had a friend who told me about a woman who gave birth to 3 sets of twins, and she killed all of them before they came out. Because in that day and age, it was a taboo. The people's culture is a reflection of their present time. And our present time requires us to emphasize on love across board every single day, not just a day. And again, the reason I'm stressing that Valentine's Day should be taken is it's not a popular stand. The same way a lot of rules and amendments have been done. There was a time when it was a taboo for a man to marry a man. We know what is happening.
It is still taboo.
It's still a taboo, but it's institutionalized as a law because times have changed.
Not in
Whether
our
I am in
country.
support or not of it is not the question. You have priests who have been given the authority to go on the pulpit and still be in love with another man. You are in a very dangerous time that requires very harsh actions. And the harsh action we need to take as a society, as a people who intends to protect its culture, is to take that day out of the calendar because what it represents is not what we're about.
Come on. Thank you very much. Your question quickly.
My own girl, before about some days ago, she has given me the list of what she wants me to do for her on that day. I don't have a problem with it. The list, I collected it, and of course, I can take care of it. But I have one issue. On that day, I need to go to work. I need to close by 5 o'clock. Then trying to beat up traffic and all that and all that. Now, do you think, or will you be in support that the federal government should create a day, let it be a work-free day, that
For February 14th.
based on the significant attached to it? Would you call the federal government to
make it a public
yankee
holiday.
a day, such a day for people to not to go to work,
Okay.
just go
show love.
work-free day to fulfill the significant
Come on,
attached
come
to
on,
it?
come on. Brilliant question. Brilliant question. Brilliant question. So, yes.
Thank you so much.
The federal government is watching.
My answer to that would be taking it too far. If that would be taking it too far, if your girl has given you a list, the problem with you guys is you all sit back and think that this relationship thing is a load you have to carry on your shoulders alone. Why haven't you given her a list? What's wrong with you giving her a list of what you would want?
Come on,
and
put your hands
list,
together for that. What's wrong with giving her a list too?
because
He's quiet.
this love we are talking about,
It should be balanced, right?
yes,
Okay.
look at love. You understand? So when guys sit on the fence, oh, she this, she that, you guys are the ones putting yourself in that situation.
Come on, once again. So, all right, let's have you quickly.
My name is Obina, and I'm directing my question to you.
No
I'm
question
sorry,
for me, Abi.
everybody is actually asking you. My issue is that I'm asking you now as a question, having realized that Valentine is of pagan origin, do you still believe it should continue, or do you feel bad that, oh, you didn't know about this ordinarily? If you knew, you wouldn't have been supporting it and promoting it. And to you, the question I'd like to ask you is that, given your popularity, given your profile and everything, what effort are you making so that as to educate people so they will have an idea as to why you want this day to be scrapped, so they will follow you?
So it's ladies first, Valentine's Day.
Okay, thanks. If we start scrapping everything because of the history behind it, we won't have so much left. History of Valentine might be as bad as it is. Like I keep saying, we're looking at it at what it is today. I get am before, no be property. If you talk about Christianity, I already gave that instance. If you go deep into the history of Christianity, Rome, and all of that, which is not what I should be talking about here, you wouldn't want to practice Christianity. But you should take it from the level where it is. Where am I now? There's forgiveness. My history in the past might be bad, but you're dealing with me at this level. Right. At this level, where we are now is that February 14th represents love. Love represents humanity.
All right.
Why do you want to scrap a day to celebrate humanity.
Thank you very much. Yes, that's
I've not answered his question.
okay.
About what? So just to quickly touch on that, a foundation of any institution, anything you're building, the foundation is very important. Because the history is dark, is proof that the foundation on which we all celebrate Valentine is wrong. And there's no excuse for a faulty foundation. That's number one. Number two, on what I'm doing as a public figure, number one, I accepted the invitation to this show. So I'm here.
Brilliant, smart.
Number two is, if you follow me on social media, my wife, my children are the first set of people that I can start the change with in what we say and what we do off air and on air. And I think that is where all of us need to start. Now, removing Valentine's Day for me is a step in the right direction. Is it an easy decision? No. Is it a necessary one? Yes, because of the fact that we have a headache, and it's not paracetamol that will cure that headache. We need to, like my sister said, take the brain and take it to Computer Village and reset it. So we need something aggressive to address that.
Right.
I cannot do everything. I can only talk, and I can only appeal to you. The woman who is giving her boyfriend a list, the man who is breaking back to ensure that he buys the latest iPhone, it's a question of individual morality, individual preference, individual discipline. It's not a function of the day. But I'm also saying that removing the day will also aid in the people or persons looking inward to find out what is important to them and how can they address those issues.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, if you're just joining us, too bad, you have missed out on a chunk, but all the same, this is still the big show. Come on. Welcome back, of course, if you're just joining us. This is still the big issue. Now, the audience have actively contributed to the debate, and our celebrity guests have also argued their positions very well, and so we have come to that point where we need to wind up, but that won't happen until we have heard their final submission on the issue. Should Valentine's Day celebration be discouraged or encouraged? All right, quickly, Oscar, I'll take you first. How do you round off this discussion?
Love is important.
Right.
Love is sacred. But there needs to be a modern understanding of what love is and how it should be expressed. Valentine's Day is an ancient
celebration.
Yeah. The foundation on which it was created is not one that resonates with our present times and needs, which is why I stand that it should be scrapped. I am very much for love. I am very much for showing of care. And as individuals, my charge to you is to understand, first of all, who you are, love yourself so that you can love others. And when you understand that triangle, you know that you do not need a day in a year to express that love. You will not be confined by the restrictions of a celebration that very few people understand the origins of and have lost the essence of what Valentine's Day is about.
Come on, thank you very much. All right, Nika, how do you end?
Well, I'm glad that I have a very good opponent, but the truth is that we're both on the same side. We believe very strongly in love. And I believe that love is what humanity needs. And I also believe that one day in a year is not the problem we have. Our problem is ourselves, our mindset, our orientation. It is okay for those who brought the culture of Valentine into our society. If they're exploiting it and others are exploiting it, that's fine. People exploit Christmas. We shouldn't focus on that. Let's focus on who we are and believe that as long as there is love, humanity will survive. So if I can put 2 more days, 3 more days to remember it in our own different ways, I will do that. But please, don't let anybody put you under pressure or make you believe that Valentine's Day is a day you have to spend money. It is a day you have to extend love to fellow humanity.
All right, thank you very much. Come on, you want to put your hands together for them once again? Well, quickly, before we, round off totally, we have a ritual here, and now that you guys have ended this conversation, it's time for you guys to shake hands now and embrace.
Are you okay?
I'm okay.
I have to show you love because I believe in love.
All right, you can go back to your seat. This is my good. Fantastic. Of course, before we round off totally, we can also say a big thank you to Isaac Moses for storming in. Come on, put your hands together with him. Thank you very much.
Can I hug him?
Not now,
Okay.
after the show. You heard them. It's been an exciting outing with Nneka Isaac Moses and Bemileke Oscar Onyison. If you had fun watching this debate, follow the conversation on our social media handles at TVC Connect and at TVC News Nigeria. My personal handle is Mark Otabo on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, engaging with the hashtag #TheBigIssue. Remember, if it is not big enough, it has no business here. I'm talking about the issue. Ladies and gentlemen, until we'll come your way again, this would always be the big issue. Thank you. Boss.